pull me up here. Sorry, I've just got things everywhere here. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Michelle Tutrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up here in Australia, New South Wales. Now, I just thought today what I would try to do is a little bit of a let's try it out. And I have gone through all my stash of cardstock. Excuse me. Cardstock and different types of papers and things, because Stampin' Up says that we can use this on our, well, they have recommended a double-sided cardstock, which I used the other day. And then I also the other day tried it on just a piece of regular cardstock. So that's a two-tone. So that's these pieces here. Let me just flip this down so I can show you what I'm talking about. Sorry. And I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. Okay, so the other day on my live on Friday, I did this one, which was the silver foil on the solid cardstock. This one here was the gold foil on the two-tone cardstock. So that's the one where you got comes in at 12 by 12 and it's light on one side and darker on the other, and it's got a white core. Now that's the one that Stampin' Up have recommended that we do. Before I go too much further, please jump on, say hello if you're there. And if you've got any questions while we're doing this, this is the time to ask it. So what I've done is I've gone through all my stash and I've pulled out lots of different papers that we can try. So I have got here, because Stampin' Up have said that we can use window sheets. I've got a piece of window sheet. It also says that you can use vellum. So I've got window sheet and vellum there. But I've gone through some of my papers which are now discontinued. So I've got this one here, and it's just a white piece, and it's actually got a fabric that's got a backing on the back of it. So that's a linen specialty paper if you've still got that in your stash. I've also got two sheets here of the Whispers of Texture. Both these papers came together. Now again, I don't know whether this one's still available or not. It's one of the most recent ones. And there's one with a little bit of a stripe in it, slightly corrugated. And there's another one which has got texture on it as well. So I've got one sheet of each of those. Of course, a piece of designer series paper. Hey, we know that we can use that, but I thought we'd just do a test piece on also. And then this one here is the All Seasons Velvet that came out last Christmas. So I thought we'd give these all a go and see what happens. So we'll work with the ones first that we know that's going to work. So that is the designer series paper, your vellum, and the window sheet, because they're the ones that Stampin' Up have said that we can use. So I'm just waiting for this to heat up. It shouldn't be much longer. I've got my instructions here just to make sure, because this is only the second time I've used it. So we've got the power cord in, yes. We're waiting for the platform to beep and all the lights to flash briefly. And then the white timer button stays lit, and then the red one should come on, and it's then ready to go, and we can start layering it up. So I've cut some silver foil, and I'm going to use the Butterflies in Flight dies, just so I can keep it consistent across the board. I've cut all my pieces of designer series, all my pieces of paper at roughly 4 inches by 6 inches or 10 by 15 centimetres. So they're all going to stay consistent. And then I'm going to keep these. I haven't worked it out yet. I'm going to keep all these so we've got them, or I've got them for reference from any other time. So as I said before, please, if you're watching, jump on, ask a question if you have a question, and we're going to see how we go. This is also live on my YouTube. Yes, so this will be in my YouTube as well. So we're just waiting for this light. Again, it's like a watch kettle, never boils. It's just taking its sweet little time here. But I have gone from cold. Probably could actually pop my plate on there now. So we want to pop that on with our flat surface down. Shouldn't be too much longer. So I hope you've all had a lovely weekend. So we're just waiting for this to all heat up. I'm hoping it's not going to take us 6 minutes in between each one, because that's going to lead to a very long live. Okay. Fingers crossed we're getting closer. So who has had a play with this yet and has given it a go? I think so far everybody I've seen is really enjoying playing with this. I know I'm sort of got a few more dies the other day on Friday afternoon after my live had finished, and already planning my next lot of dies that I want to get because I'm only getting them in portions. Don't think we were meant to have pressed the button before now. Need some music to play while we're waiting. Can't be too much longer. What I might do is I might pop my foil on. So we're going to pop the foil on with the I think we're going the shiny surface down. So our shiny surface is going to go down. And I've got a piece of my designer series paper. So let's pop that on top. You might do it with the darker side up. Then we have our shim. And our platform. So we're still just waiting for this to heat up. Now this is going to be very testing because I have got 7 pieces here to do to test, and if we've got to wait 6 minutes between each one, this could be fun. And as I said, please jump on, say hello, let me know where you're from. This is a little bit of an impromptu, so I don't usually come on a Monday, but my alterations has been fairly quiet, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to do this now. Must be getting close. So I hope you've got lovely weather where you are. It's been quite windy and cool here, but then I think they're still getting snow, maybe up in the mountains, and that's why we've got such cool days. We sort of tend to get a lot of the cold wind off the mountains when it's snowing up there, and it's quite cool. Yesterday we went and did a trip down the coast towards the ocean, and as we got closer it got warmer and warmer. It was lovely. Started off here I think at about 7 degrees and ended up 15 down on the coast, and then came back to 8 degrees in the afternoon. Must be getting close now. Just taking its little time there. It's a pity I'm not making a card or anything. We could be doing that while we were waiting, but anyway, we're not planning to do that today. Okay, so there's our timer. So I'm going to push that, the yellow one comes on, and then we've just got to wait for that again. We're now just waiting for that green light. And remembering when we push this through, run it through the cut and emboss, that we've got to roll it through slowly. Just waiting for that green light. See if I can just move that camera over. Don't know whether it's going to allow us to so you can see what I am actually doing here. Whoops. So there it is there. That's probably a better view. Sorry about that. Don't know where to quite put that mat. Whoops. Not there. So we're just waiting for it now to turn green, which shouldn't take long. There we go. So now we can disconnect it from the power source and run this through our cut and emboss. Now, the other day when I did this, I ran it through twice. I have seen another demonstrator say to run it only through once, and I think the reason for that is it could move, because when I did the butterflies the other day, my foiling was a little bit off in some areas, and I'm wondering whether that's the reason why. If I ran it through twice, that's not too hot there, so let's just take all of that off. That it might have moved the other day, so let's take this off and let's have a look. Hopefully I didn't roll that through too fast. So there's our foiling there, and that's, I have got a little bit of extra foiling there, but once I die cut that, that actually didn't show up. So I think I've still got to practice this a little bit, but there we are on our designer series paper. So let's try on another one. So let me, while this is still fairly hot, and hopefully we don't have to wait another 6 minutes, let's try this again. So I'm going to leave that on there. I'm going to grab another piece of foil. Again, we're going to go shiny side down. This time I've got my vellum. I'm going to pop that on top. Put my shim on top of that, and that will help stop that vellum from rolling. Pop my plate on top there. So let's just see if we have to wait this whole 6 minutes for this one to, hopefully not. Because it's already got some heat still in there. If this is going to take too long, what I might do is grab one of the other papers and try them, and then do all the others off camera, and I'll come back at a later time and show you how all this goes. Because this is a little bit of sitting around and waiting for this to heat up, but hopefully we don't have to wait the whole 6. We're already 1 minute through, so there'll be another 5 to go. This would be quite pretty, die cutting those and popping them onto a card, but I'm going to actually leave this like this so I can put it onto some sort of page type format or into a book or something, so then we can use it, come back to it as reference at any other time. There we go. So let's press our white button there again. That didn't take as long, which is good. So now we just have to wait about 1.5 minutes for that green light to come on. This is going to be the longest video of me doing nothing that ever was, I think. If you have any questions, please jump on and ask. Okay, let's go. So we're going to disconnect this here and then slowly put this through. Just going reasonably slow. And probably when the fabric ones, I'd probably go a little bit slower just to make sure that we are getting really good coverage. Okay, so that's gone through. Whoops. Let's take that off and pop that down there. So here's our vellum. Before I do that, I'm going to actually plug this straight back in now, and that will be heating up while we're having a look. So let's just peel this off. And I put the wrong side down, I think. It's supposed to be shiny side down, and I put it the wrong side down. So that one didn't turn out so well for me. But then that was user error. So got to remember, shiny side down. So I will try that one again and at another time. Because at the moment, I think we will just keep going. Now, so we've got that there. Shiny side down this time. We learn by our mistakes. Well, I do anyway. Whoops, that's... Okay, this is going to be the tricky part because we're popping this down on top of there, but there's static involved in the... I just want to move that across. So the static is going to affect our foil. So what if I put the foil onto that first and just smooth that out? And now let's try. So we've got the shiny side down. We're going to pop that onto there. Pop our plate on. Just bip. So we're going a little bit quicker now. So we're just going to wait for that to warm up a little bit longer for that green light. With the vellum, it did actually bond to it, but it's not that nice shine. It's sort of got that matted. So I suppose if you wanted a matted finish, that's one way of doing it. Let's just compare the two. So compare this one and that one. This one here's a lot shinier. This one's here's all matted because I've got the matte, put the matte side up. You could easily colour your vellum as well with your blends and on the back. So that's how we'd get a coloured one. But the vellum has sort of warped a little bit, so that would be something else that I'll be testing a little bit more to see if there's some way of that not to happen. But of course we've got our class coming up, so if you have purchased this while with the special, then you've got that class coming up, which is next week, I believe. Okay, let's see if we can unplug that quickly. Pop that in there and just run this through slowly. So this time we're on our window sheet. So we're just going to take this through really slow because window sheets are quite slippery and I don't really want there to be a slip between the foil and the window sheet and my die. Okay, so let's pop this over here. Take all that off. Got my plug this back in again so it can heat up while we're waiting. Oops. And let's have a look at this window sheet and how it turned out. Good thing is it's not that hot that's going to melt your window sheet, but oh, that is so pretty. I don't know whether you can see that. Let me just grab a piece of that and pop it underneath. But look at that. That's on your window sheet. So that is just so very, very pretty. And you could also even colour this with your alcohol blends as well. So that'll be something fun to have a little bit of a play with and see how it works. And I've got, again, I've still got that little bit of movement and my foil coming off there. So still got room for improvement. Okay, so let's try. They're the ones that we know that we can use this on. So let's try some of the other products. So we've got a lot of these ones now, or ones that are discontinued, but you could have them in your stash. So I've got my silver foil down, upside down. I'm going to use one of these Whispers of Texture. So this one here is the one that's just got like a linen effect. My bib has gone off. So let's pop our shim down. I've pressed the button and we're ready to go again. So we're just waiting for that green light. Might just move that out of the road for a second. I'm just going to see if I can just move this up a little bit more for you, so it's not, that might be better. Again, we're just waiting for this to warm. Shouldn't be too long. Okay. Let's take this and pop this one through. So this is one of the textured papers. It is a discontinued one. So let's just take this through very slowly because we do want it to adhere, but it'll be interesting to see whether it's going to adhere to, it'll probably adhere to the top, but whether it will adhere to the bottom, like the grooves, because this has got like high and lows on the paper. But it'll be just an interesting to see. Taking it through very slow. Okay. Let's pop that onto there. Take those off and plug this in again. And let's have a look at this one. So, okay, so this is a textured paper. Let's see how we've gone. Yeah, not a pretty finish, unfortunately. There's a lot of, I don't know whether you can pick that up, but a lot of little, it's hit all the high points. So the paper has sort of moved and it's got like the butterflies got a speckled effect. So probably not the best on that one. So I might give the other paper from that same one a bit of a miss, and we might just have a look how we go with one of the other ones. So I might leave that one. The other one I've got here is the Pearl Essence specialty paper. So let's give that one a go because it's a smooth paper, but it's got a Pearl Essence finish. So we'll pop that down onto there. Whoops, just trying to get that all covered. we'll pop our Pearl Essence paper on top. And again, this is a deleted line. But if you've got it in your stash and you want to know how it's going to work, pop that there. So we're just going to wait for that light to light up again. But it is worthwhile just testing out some of your papers you might have and just sort of seeing how they would go. Okay, let's press that again. Just wait for a couple of more minutes for that to go through. The butterflies do have a fairly thick edge on them, on the actual dies, so maybe some of those ones like the vellum should turn out quite well, but that might have been user error too, because I did have it up the wrong way. But yeah, some of your finer dies might even work a little bit better that don't have as much thickness in the die. So here we go, let's try this one. So just very slowly taking this through, again, because we've got slippery surfaces here. Okay, let's pop that out and have a look at that one. Just grab this and plug it in again. It's getting its work out today, and I'll know definitely which way my dies and everything should be going for next time. And I think I've done it again. That sort of stuck to the surface there a bit, and I think I've put it on upside down yet again. But you know what? It did work on it. Has got a little bit of it over where it's gone over the edge a little bit there. I've got to get the hang of putting the silver side down, not silver side up. But otherwise, that turned out quite well. And it did, the adhesive, the paper did stick to the plate a little bit, but nothing terribly, and it has sort of bowed a little bit. So that's what happened with that one. But again, user error. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to do shiny surface down. That's the one thing I'm going to have to get the hang. Now this is the linen paper, so it's like a fabric that's got a backing on it. So let's pop that down. Pop our shim on top of that and that onto there. Push our button and just wait for that for a couple of minutes. But it's always good to test some of these things out before you actually commit to a project, especially if it's something you haven't sort of done before. So and quite a few of us would probably have a lot of bits and pieces in our stash that we'd like to try. So this is just one way we can try it and see what we think. Okay, so let's give this one a go. I think the two things that I'm going to have to learn is, one, to put my shiny surface down, and two, to make sure we go through this really slow. Okay, let's have a quick look at this one. And I'll pop that down there. I've got one more to do, so let's just pop that in. And again, it's sort of like it's bent a little bit, warped a little bit. Oh, I'm still getting my shim the wrong way around. Don't know what I did that. Must have flipped on itself. But that has actually worked on that fabric surface beautifully. A lot better than the textured surface, because the fabric is a little bit smoother, but that has worked really, really nice. So it has got a little bit of shadowing, ghosting on the edges where it has picked up a little bit of the foiling. But in other words, I'm quite happy with that. That could be quite nice. Okay, silver side down. And this is our All Seasons velvet. So it's got a velvety side on one side and a paper side on the other. So let's pop that down there. Put our shim on top. Oops, and then our... Okay. Now I'm just going to wait for that green light to come on and we're ready to go. And this is the last one. So I think once we got started, the reheating didn't take too long if this has already got been heated previously. So that's not too bad. I wouldn't just put in any papers through. I would just be very aware of what you're putting in. You don't want to have anything that could I wouldn't be putting anything more metallic or anything like that through. That's not made to go with it. I'm using all Stampin' Up papers. I haven't used anything that's not Stampin' Up. But I mean, Stampin' Up haven't said that you can or you can't use these ones. It's just I thought we'd give it a try and see how it comes out. Now this one is going to be very, very iffy with the velvet to whether this is going to work or not. So this one will be quite interesting. Also, to be very aware that Stampin' Up have given us a 1-year warranty on this. Let me just unplug this. And you can void your warranty if you're using products that aren't Stampin' Up. So, you know, like your cut and emboss machine, if it's not a Stampin' Up one, or other products, foils and that, and if something goes wrong. So you do void your warranty. Now I'm just taking this through very, very slowly. I'm going to grab this other mat and pop it over here to one side so I can take my die off. Okay, that's gone through. So let me just move this out of the road. Pop that back down there. We're not plugging it in now, so don't need to worry about that. And let's just have a look and see how this has gone. So there's our, now I have been putting this foil down the right way, because that's, when it's down that way you want the dull side up, but when you turn it this way, you've got your shiny side up, like duh, Michelle. Okay, let's peel this off and let's have a look. No, big fail, doesn't work, doesn't like the velvet. I don't know whether you can see that, but it's sort of taken to the velvet in places where you don't want it to go. And I probably could remove some of that with my fingernails. Whether you want to go over the whole thing, if I just go over that whole butterfly there, I'm just with my nail removing all the foil from the areas where it didn't have the raised part of my die. Then it doesn't look too bad. If you can see this little butterfly, unfortunately it's getting a lot of sheen. So if you can see this little butterfly against this one here, there's still a lot of foil on the surface. This one here, I've just wiped it away with my fingernail. And that actually doesn't come up too bad after you've done that. So if we did this one and wiped some of that away, just some of that excess foil sitting on the surface. It's not too bad, but it has left an indentation of the grid that is on our base plate here. So I don't know whether you can actually see that. So there you go. So that one there, you can gently rub away a lot of the foil that's on your velvet paper. So let's have a quick look at all of these again. So we've got our vellum, which possibly I had it the wrong way around. I'm not quite sure now after discovering that maybe I have had it up the right way. But there's our vellum. So I want to try that one again because you can supposedly use it on vellum. But I have got a lot of warping in that. But once you die cut something like that one, if you're doing a different design, which is more all over, that might be slightly different. Of course, you've got your designer series paper, which comes up nice. You've also got, don't throw away these little bits and pieces because you might be able to cut some of that up and use it elsewhere. You've also got your window sheet, and that came out really well as well. So I'm really pleased with the way that worked. I do have a little bit of that silver on surfaces where I may not want it. That's the only thing. I'd have to work out, is there a way we can, because I have got a little bit of the foiling on areas where I don't necessarily want the foiling, but that's just going to be practice. Whispers of texture, again, no, didn't work. Anything was too textured. It really doesn't like it. I don't know whether you can see that, but it's got like the butterfly's got a lot of speckling on it. Let's just remove that one. This one here I didn't even try, didn't worry about it. Then we have our pearlescent specialty paper. That didn't come up too bad, actually. There is a little bit, there's a bit of ghosting around the edges there, but that could be something I'm doing wrong. There is a little bit of where the foil has caught around the main part of the body. So yes and no. Let's pop that over there. Our linen, the linen one didn't turn out too badly. Again, if there's areas that have got foiling on it, you might be able to gently rub it away with your fingers. I've got a lot of foil now under my nails, so that could be coming off with that. But that actually didn't come up too badly, and that was on the linen specialty paper. So, and then, of course, we've got our velvet one, which I think once you scrape away, and I would just do it gently, I'm just doing it with my fingernails, the foiling off the areas where you didn't want the foiling to be, it's actually just coming away, because between the heat and the pressure, it's left the foil where we want it, but it's also left excess foil in other areas. But once you wipe that away with your fingernail, that actually comes up really nicely. So if you've got that left over from last year, that could be an interesting thing to do. So there you go. So we've had a little bit of a play. It's taken a little while, but just having a little bit of a play to see what we can and can't do, what papers we can use. As I said, all the papers I've used are Stampin' Up. Some are current, some are discontinued. But I hope that has given you an idea of where we can go with this. So that's it for me for today. I just thought I'd just jump on and have a bit of a play and see where we're going, what we can do. And, of course, the replay will be there. Deborah, if you have overfoiling, you can use a sand eraser. Yeah, I don't have one of those. I've got to get myself one, but I'm not quite sure how that would... I mean, this one here is the velvet paper. It's left the impressions of the grid lines that we've got here on our system, our I don't know what you'd call it, our platform. But most of the overfoiling here, I can just rub away on the velvet with my nails. There's a little bit of over on the fabric one, but not a huge amount, not something, you know, with the butterflies, I know that I can pretty much cut them out and they'd be fine. The pearlescent paper, it'd be interesting to see whether it would make any difference, but then I'd also be worried to be taking away some of that pearl effect off your paper. That one I didn't give it a go. This one here, it's just well and truly, you wouldn't want to even start with this one. There's it's picked up every single little dot, every raised area. And then we've got it on our window sheet. So whether we can take some of this away off our window sheet, I'm not quite sure, but I really wouldn't be using sand eraser on that. And of course our designer series paper is fine, except I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong, but you know, this is the first time I've ever used a foiling system, so I don't have a lot of experience with this, but I do have some overfoiling on there as well. And then with our vellum, there's quite a bit on that, but that could be just my error. But again, once you cut them out, you probably wouldn't get that after they've been cut out. So that's with using, you know, the butterfly dies. So that'd be interesting, but that was just a good good little try to see how it would work on some different products. But thanks for putting your input in, Deborah. I really do appreciate it because, as I said, this is my first experience with using foiling. So take care. I've got to go back to my sewing now, and I hope you all have a lovely week, and I will see you on Friday. So thank you very much for joining me. Bye for now.